spawning in the top left position as the yellow Zerg player didn't really do too much with the information that he had about the 2 racks. Didn't go for any kind of spine crawler play, and he paid for it. He is K3 Esports Club's VortiX. And spawning in the top right position as our red Terran player, coming off a 1-3 loss to Freyr, he goes for the 11-11 and gets a nice quick win. He is aLive. So Whirlwind is one of those maps where it's so big that doing mech is very, very difficult. You make your big push, you can get counterattacked like crazy, flanked very easily. There's a lot of open spaces, so it's generally a more preferred bio map. And I think aLive is more of a bio-y player. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe on a different map he might go for mech, like Cloud Kingdom, perhaps, if he wasn't, of course, throwing the 2 racks out. But he's got a lot of SCVs queued up. He's going to be going for a command center first, and this is going to line up pretty well with what VortiX is going to do. He's actually going to send a drone scout out. I'm not really sure that this is necessary, only because the map is so big. It's not going to be an 11-11, but I guess VortiX just wants to play it safe. He's going to lose on the mining time, though, of course, for the drone. It's going to be a good couple minutes. He's most likely just going to lose the drone, moving it into scout aLive. So he's actually going to scout him last, though. We're going to have the command center built on the low ground for aLive. So this is looking pretty standard. You could say that this is a somewhat greedy thing to do normally. I'd say maybe on Cloud Kingdom this is a bit much, but on Whirlwind, as I stated, he's going to be scouted last. This is not the map you go for a 6 pool on. Sometimes you go for, you can see Zerg players try to metagame players like Flash or Marine King that are known for going command center first, but even then, it's better to just go for some kind of follow-up 2-base aggression. And that's exactly what VortiX is moving towards. He's getting his second base up. He's not doing anything ridiculous. We have gas follow-up, though, with this barracks for aLive, and this gas timing, yep. So he's most likely going to move into Hellion play after this. This is Wings of Liberty, so Hellions are really your only option for early factory play. Spawning pool is almost complete for VortiX. His drone scattered that bottom left base. He went to the tower, changed his mind. His overlord did spot aLive's command center, so he knows where he is now. He has a reasonable suspicion as to his whereabouts, as it were, and this natural command center is about to complete. So this is looking a little bit more kosher than the last game. No SCVs being pulled off the line, no drones having to try to mineral walk through Marines or anything like that. So I think we're going to see this factory go down, a reactor, and depending on whether or not aLive gets a second gas, he could either go for a fast third command center, which is really good on Whirlwind, or he could just get that second gas up as soon as he can afford it, get himself a starport, try to go for Banshee Hellion follow-up. But that's usually going to be determined by the gas count. Other times you can see Barracks play follow-up a la Polt style, going for a possible Marauder Hellion play. Definitely shows how strong that was in his recent matches at IPL 5, but this Zergling is going to come in. There's actually no Marines in the natural. You can't guard the main door if your base is outside, man. You got to go into the background. You got to go into the backyard if you want to keep the swing set safe. So this Zergling will be poked away. Doesn't kill anything, but he kind of scouted this. Like, okay, I'm going to go double gas now. About 5 minutes. So I'm actually curious how many drones he has. What's going to be really interesting is how many drones VortiX is going to make before he moves into making units, before he decides he wants to get aggressive. This gas is so early. This is definitely some kind of 2-base play. He could take a third hatchery behind it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Roach Warren start and an Evolution Chamber, or if we just saw, oh, he's going to get the third hatchery. That's interesting to me. Maybe he's looking to go for slightly faster tech. Oftentimes we see 4-queen builds, and that's what this is, but usually with no gas to go before the third base. And I think that VortiX wants to play this a little bit safer. The Hellions are on the field, so he's going to pick off this Zergling. The Overlord's here, kind of sees, okay, well, let's see what we've got. We did have the second gas taken for aLive, so he will be moving into that Cloak Banshee, or is it the Caduceus reactor being researched? And VortiX is going to spot that, and I love that. The fake cloak, I love it. There's almost no reason to ever not try to mind game your opponent unless you're running the tightest build ever, like a 4-port Banshee or something where you just don't have any gas left. But we have that Banshee. It's coming. No cloak. And a double Evolution Chamber and a Lair. I don't think that VortiX, based on the build that he chose, was ever really worried about Cloak Banshees, though. His gas was so early. This double evolution chamber play, sure, getting the lair maybe delayed him from starting his +1 armor, but I mean, with that gas, he was going to move into his lair pretty quickly anyway. Especially since he has all 4 gases between his main and natural. And these Hellions are poking. aLive is aware that there's a 3rd base. Of course, Hellion's not so great at killing hatcheries. He's trying to do as much as he can, but not overcommitting is very important. 3rd command center started for aLive. He's got that first Banshee out, going to go try to poke, but there are Spore Crawlers in place. He's building a Viking now, which I really like, and the Viking's going to be able to get rid of the Overlords like this one. Although, I will say, VortiX's Overlord spread is almost non-existent, and that's actually we're going to work out in his favor this game. aLive beginning to roast away that hatchery. He's doing quite a bit of damage to it, in all honesty. Overlords are being produced. He's going to try to kill the eggs that are morphing with these Hellions, which would really suck. Managed to get a larva, which is kind of cool. These queens are going to chase out this Banshee, though, and we're going to have an infestation pit go down for VortiX. So he wants to go into this 3-base, really fast hive style, it looks like. Typically 2-base infester, you want to go for some kind of burrow play. There aren't really any drones at the 3rd yet, though, and if you look at the total drone count, he's saturated on his 2 bases, so he's going to try to get some drones now heading over to the 3rd. A little bit of danger from these Hellions. But, man, is aLive ever the macro monster now. Building on a ton of facilities. I have to say, against Frere, there was a lot of cheesy play, a lot of 1-base tactics, so he wasn't able to get in that macro position that he so likes to be in, as these Korean Terrans usually do. But now he's got quite a solid production core going up. He's getting these barracks finished off, and it's going to be another minute of delay or so until he really kicks his production in. He's going to get all his add-ons, all these reactors on these barracks. And we look at actually just how many barracks does he have. He's up 4 racks right now, so he's going to need a couple more, I think. But he's getting that starport together. He's getting that siege tank production rolling, and this is looking pretty nice, I have to say. He's getting that so he's not going to be super vulnerable to any really fast timings at Zerglings, Banelings, or anything like that. 5 infestors are on the way for VortiX. Not surprising. Definitely one of the Zerg players that tends to favor infestors a little bit over Mutalisks. But +2 attack is on the way. Should see +2 carapace start as soon as he has the money, which should be very, very soon. And there we go. It's on the way. We have infestors and banelings and zerglings. Oh my. These banelings do not have the movement speed upgrade, though. I think that's one of the most important upgrades in the game for a Zerg player versus a Terran going bio. I think that this is super important. But he's going to spread his creep a little bit more effectively, kind of allocating his APM more in that direction. He's taking a pretty quick 4th base, I would say, for this map. It's really exposed, but these Hellions get fungled and the Zerglings get us around. There goes all of the map presence that aLive had. He's stuck now in his Marine tank. His stim pack is not quite done yet, nor is his combat shield. He needs stars too, though. He has the armory, he has the engineering base, but this has been quite a bit. He's actually going to fall behind and upgrade significantly if he doesn't get this started ASAP. We have Zerglings poking towards the natural expansion. This Banshee's kind of like, hey man, get away. This Banshee doesn't do AoE damage. It's not like the campaign Banshee, but doing its best to push these units away. I love this. The 2nd factory out already for aLive. Going to be able to get a ton of tanks out, and that's so important for dealing with a little the more popular styles coming up in the metagame. A lot more Ultralisk, Zergling, Baneling. You want to have a high tank count to deal with this. It's not, you can't just mass Vikings to win games against Corrupted Broodlord. It's not quite as simple as it used to be since Ultralisks have popped up. But the hive will complete. There's no Spire on the field, so I feel like it's going to be Ultralisks just because of that. But we're going to have to see. Baneling speed is complete, and the Ultralisk Cavern is started for VortiX. And we have Medevac drop moving out on the bottom side of the map. He has another 2 drops actually moving around, so this is actually pretty nice. He's going to try to multitask like crazy, starting a 4th command center now. He's got a solid tank count, double producing them. He doesn't have that +1 vehicle weapons just yet, +2 for the bios coming in, but this is looking, I like this. This Viking, man, this Viking is, it's like a dancer just moving in and out of this stage, snagging all of these overlords, transfusing the overlord. The Viking does get fungal growth though, so it's gonna get pinned down, but it might actually get away. Nice play. Marines are running up, trying to kill creep tumors. But there are quite a bit of them. He's stimming again. I think maybe he accidentally ran those a bit farther than he intended to. And this Viking, it's got 2 kills. Not bad at all. We have these 2 drops in the bottom left side. Not being utilized just yet. Is aLive aware of the 4th? Yes. So this is going to be very important for him to shut this down to prevent the economy from really snowballing for VortiX. And he has 7 Ultralisks on the way. Very scary army. We have chitinous plating being researched or evolved by VortiX. He's actually... Does aLive see this hatch? He does. He should be able to force a cancel. There's a bunch of Zerglings running over there. He has very little time. He's going to move in, stims the bio. He's trying to shut this 5th base down. There we go. No cancel actually on that. Really, really great play. The bio units will get mopped up by this for the 4th base, but it's going to delay any kind of push coming from VortiX. Ultralisk Zergling Baneling is, of course, a very, very strong, difficult to deal with style. The Zerglings run up and start taking fire. The Ultralisks get up close and personal, and that buys enough time for the Banelings to just explode all over the Marines. Here we go. He's stepping up. Infested Terrans thrown down. The tanks are not sieged. He's sieging now. Great fungal glands on all of these units, pinning them in place, and the Banelings are going to crash in and mop this up. The Ultralisk doing so much damage. Supplies still a little bit close, but favoring VortiX now. And these Ultralisks are all at full health with all of the tanks dead. This is looking very bad for aLive. He's got triple Marauder production going right now, but this is not going to be easy. Meanwhile, we have a drop in the 3rd base. No mining left there. The drop at the 4th base has been shut down. The 4th base for aLive is going to die. This command center will be eradicated. Bio stepping up, trying to shut this down as much as he can. The supply is broken even, but still a pretty difficult position to be in. These Ultralisks are still alive, and these are the big, tanky, expensive units. You know, he stole the dinner set, but I would say the hors d'oeuvres are still here, and they are rocking. This drop hits the main base, shut down by the Zerglings, and he's going to try to drop to 3rd base again, but these units are poised to stop this. I will say his 3-3 timing much better than his 2-2. They should finish up relatively close to each other. Only a very small lead available for our for our Zerg player in terms of upgrades. But there are a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Ultralisks. But, you know, the thing is, the double factory play is going to allow him to get his tank count up so much more quickly. He's going to be able to recuperate his losses within a pretty reasonable amount of time. And I love the drop play. He's got all these units pretty much like, man, this is where we set the kids that just couldn't play well with others. They're stuck between all the bases, this triangle of doom. Marauder does catch an Infester. Really great. Nice. That was actually really awesome. Really awesome catch there. We have Cloaking Field now being researched for the Banshees. So he wants to use these possibly snipe Infestors. Not really any anti-air, but we do have the Greater Spire on the way for VortiX. A bunch of macro orbital commands being started. 5 command centers in production. That's really funny to see in the production tab. Drop hits the natural, shut down pretty quickly. Not going to be able to delay any upgrades. He's going to scan, try to shut down the creep tumors. The creep spread was pretty awesome by VortiX, but he's clearing out a lane for himself. This is a lane you can use to push. There are flanking options, though, and that's one of the scary things about Whirlwind. There's another drop towards the 4th base. He's moving up now. Might be able to pick off this queen. No concussive shell on the Marauder to slow them down. So, but the creep off of the queen off of creep. Not quite the fastest unit in the game. Orbital commands being morphed in. Additional command centers, man, aLive. He is going to build the Great Wall of Planetary Fortresses, or the Great Wall of Mule. We have a bunch of Zerglings running in now towards the natural expansion. He tried to do a run by, but nope. Going to get caught pretty quickly there. Not going to be able to do any damage. And I have to say, a 4-base aLive versus a 4-base VortiX is going to start to favor aLive a bit. VortiX, he doesn't actually have any drones at his 4th base really mining minerals. He has a ton of drones. Well, maybe not a huge amount, but he has drones at the main base, not really mining much. His 3rd base is just saturated, and that 5th base is nowhere near being saturated. He's going to try to take the gas there. But VortiX, if he loses his army, he doesn't have any bank. We have 1 planetary fortress being built as part of this. Additional command centers being built. The 4th base will be a planetary fortress. We have a lot of Broodlords on the field, though, and you know what? aLive does not have any Vikings. Has he even scouted this? This is so scary. This push is an Ultralisk Broodlord. Oh my goodness. And the Marine count is not that high. There's a lot of Marauders. This is actually really, really scary. The tanks won't be useful at all. They're just going to do splash to their own units. He's now going to realize, I need Vikings. We have starports ready, though. He's going to make 5 at a time. He needs to buy himself a little bit longer to make this push. I think if the Ultralisks join the fight right now, he'd be able to break aLive. But VortiX is hanging back, playing a bit passively. If he could repair this planetary fortress, he could buy himself time. But these 5 Vikings should be out soon. There's barely any anti-air except for fungal growth, and these tanks can zone them out. But this is looking very scary. The tanks under Broodlord fire now. The Viking wave is complete, but there are a good number of corruptors here. The fungals are going to fall on this Bioforce. I'm not sure that there's quite enough here for aLive to be able to bust out of this. These Ultralisks are all pretty much full health, only one of them weak. The Vikings are going to roll up, but there's, oh my goodness, there's 11 Corruptors versus 5 Vikings. That's not a fight you want to take, plus the fungal growth. I think VortiX might be able to just completely overwhelm aLive. You know, he didn't scout the Broodlords in time, and while you have the starports ready, he needed to have the Vikings ready, and holding this push, I don't think that this is possible for aLive right now. VortiX is pushing in, the Ultralisks moving in towards these units, shutting down the production. A tank comes out, but immediately swallowed. The fungal growth's all of this bio so low on HP. The Ultralisk catching him in that choke point. The Broodlord just smashing everything. More infestors on the way. He doesn't need drones at the 5th. He finally saturates that 4th base, but the natural is forfeit. He's mining at the 5th and the 3rd. I mean the 4th and the 3rd. But this is still very, very scary. He's lost a good amount of his production. The Ultralisks are parked over the production, so he can't really produce too many more units. He's trying to build up a big force, and I think these mining bases he have, if he can produce enough to shove this off, it's his only chance. But with infestors and corruptors, I don't think he's going to be able to push this off with just Vikings. Maybe Thors to deal some AoE damage, but he's got a good Viking count now, but one fungal could spell disaster, and he manages to get it on these Vikings. Now the corruptors are going to move in and clean these up. The Queens are also here to provide transfused support for the Broodlords and the Ultralisks, so this is just a walking nightmare. aLive is boxed inside of his own production, barely between these barracks, trying to hold off, and the forces of VortiX are diminished, sure, but there's just too much. This has been a very long, protracted engagement. He's trying to build more Vikings up, but he lost so many of them, and the Corruptor count still remains strong. 7 more on the way, 5 more Ultralisks. aLive is hanging in there, but he is not bringing the supply gap any closer, and he is running out of resources. The Bioforces are fighting. The barracks are beginning to fall now. The rest of the Vikings are dead. There's only 2 starports left to produce anything. aLive, he is giving it his all, but there's the GG. Game number 2 will go to Karante Esports Club's VortiX. Man, oh my goodness. That Greater Spire, completely unscouted. That's so huge. Ultralisk Broodlord Infestor. Oh my god, that is not a composition that you want to fight without either a ton of Marauders and Vikings. But man, that was tough. Well, gonna run a quick ad, and we will get to the next game as soon as we can, guys. I'm your caster here, Nathanias. Thank you all for tuning in.